It's been over 3 years since I got the American Express Platinum Card, and I wanted to share my honest thoughts with you about this card. And I could easily just go through all the single benefits of the card and all that kind of stuff, but I just want to be real with you about what value I actually get out of this card. Just as a regular person that just wants some elevated travel perks, like what is this card actually worth to me and how much value do I actually get? So my goal at the end of this video is for you to have a very realistic expectation about whether or not this card is right for you or if you should keep it in your arsenal. So if you're ready to grow on this credit card journey together, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe and hit the notification bell below so you can join our growing family here on YouTube. And now let's get into it. So starting from the very beginning, I applied for the American Express Platinum in August of 2021 when there was a sign-up bonus of 125,000 rewards points. So right off the bat, if I redeem this for cash back, that will be $1,250 of value versus the $695 annual fee. And right now that bonus is at 80,000 points if you spend $8,000 in 6 months. Personally, for me, I would suggest waiting until you get at least 100,000 points from this offer. The only one thing that's different about when I got the Platinum card back in the day and now is that if you get the Platinum before you get the Gold, which I highly suggest you get both, but now since 2023, if you get the Platinum bonus before the Gold, you're not going to be eligible for the sign-up bonus on the Gold. So it may make more sense for you to start with the Gold and then get the Platinum, just as a little tip. So that was really good value in the first year. I kind of already paid for the card. So now I go through the stuff that I definitely use on the card, some stuff that maybe is more of like a nice to have, kind of use, and then the things that I just don't flat out use at all with this card. So the first thing and one of the best things about this card that I always use is the $200 hotel credit. And you use this booking through the Amex Travel portal. And by having the Platinum card, you have access to their fine hotels and resorts program, which is, to me, incredible. What I love about it is, yes, you have all like the top tier hotels, but it's not like they inflate the prices necessarily just because it's on their portal. A lot of times their prices are the same as if you were just to book through the hotel directly. But because you have the Platinum card and you have access to fine hotels and resorts, you get elevated perks on top of your stay that you wouldn't normally get if you just booked through their website if you didn't have any sort of status. And you can stack all those fine hotels and resorts credits with your $200 hotel credit to really get value out of it. And for me, the sweet spot of this is some hotel in the $200 to $400 range. Because the way I rationalize it is I would pay for a hotel for $200 anyway. Like if I were just to go out and stay somewhere. So if I can get it from either free to $200 out of pocket, hey, that's a win for me. I've had amazing experiences at the Westin Anaheim, the Palazzo in Vegas, the LXR in Seattle, the Four Seasons Resort in Chicago, and now most recently soon I'm gonna go to the Ritz-Carlton in Singapore. And at every single one of those hotels I got treated really well, either a room upgrade, an experience credit, like free breakfast. So that's why for me it's just really elevating that game when you normally would have just paid $200 for a hotel anyway. So that $200 hotel credit is very real for me every single year. So if you don't travel or stay at hotels and you're more of an Airbnb or like a hostel person, yeah, I don't think that this would really apply to you because it's not money that you would have already spent. So the next thing is airport lounge access. And that is a game changer for your airport experience. Because instead of going to the gates and just being there amongst the crowds of people that don't want to be there, you can go to a lounge where you can have food, drinks, you can relax, it's more comfortable, there's a bathroom nearby, and you have access to either the Centurion Lounge, Priority Pass lounges, or if you're flying Delta, you can get into the Delta lounges, which are some of the best out there. And that can include buffets, showers, all that kind of stuff. But to be clear, I don't think I would pay for lounge access per se. But what I do normally do if I go to a hotel is I buy food, I buy a drink. And it's always pretty expensive when it's in the airport. So I would say conservatively, about $10 per airport visit is what I usually spend on food and drink. So for me, if I take 2 round trips a year, that's about $40 of value that I get out of this perk. And the next perk of the $240 entertainment credit is something that I think a lot of people can use and I personally use myself. So there's a lot of different subscription services that people can use to get reimbursed by just having the card. Probably most people would do the Disney, Hulu bundle. I'm a Peacock guy since I have Disney Plus through other avenues of my life. But I like Peacock because a lot of times college football is played on Peacock for whatever reason. And then I'm a 2.5 Men fan. So it works for me. Like I would actually have Peacock if I had the choice. So the $240 of credit is very real for me. I'm not spending money that I wouldn't have normally spent. The next perk of $200 Uber cash is something to look at as well. And if you use them on Uber, then fine. If you always Uber around, that kind of thing, but I don't normally Uber unless I go out on a trip. And the Uber cash is given to you in monthly increments, so it's not like it's just $200 just in general. What I tend to use this on is Uber Eats. But keep in mind, Uber Eats is more expensive than just buying it in the store. So to me, because I use it mostly for Uber Eats every month, I value this at maybe about 60% of that $200 because I wouldn't be spending that inflated price normally just to find food. So 60% of $200 is $120 of value. And the other perk of having this card is I get 5x on flights and 5x on hotels that are booked through the portal, prepaid hotels. So all of the things that I definitely use on the card totaled up. $695 minus $600 of credits and value, that's $95 of effective annual fee that I would pay for the card. But now we'll get into the stuff that maybe I kind of use it, but maybe I might miss out on it from time to time. So the next big credit that the card gives you is they reimburse you for global entry and or TSA pre-check. And the reason why I have this in like the kind of category is because I didn't have TSA pre-check to begin with, but now that I have it, it's like I probably would buy it later. But it wasn't something that I was already paying for, you know, before I got the Platinum card. But it's better to do it through global entry because you get global entry and TSA pre-check by having global entry. So they just reimburse you the $120 and that's good for 5 years. So that's $24 per year of value. The next credit that you get is a $200 airline fee credit. So you have to select an airline at the beginning of the year, and that's the airline that you're gonna get the credits for. And the reason why, again, this is in the kind of category is maybe you don't fly that airline all the time. Or maybe you have other perks through other credit cards for a specific airline, and then you just go and buy a bunch of like airplane snacks that you wouldn't have normally bought just so that you can use the $200 credit. So for me, if I get the true value, it's when I fly Delta. So if I'm flying Delta with my significant other, or I guess also myself, like I don't have any cards that eliminate bag fees. So a lot of times bag fees get taken up and that gets covered under the $200. The other thing that I use that for is to get my fiance into the Delta lounges when we go, because I'm covered by it and then I just pay her guest fee and that gets covered under that $200 credit too. But again, would I normally pay like $50 or whatever the heck it is to get into like a buffet? Probably not, right? So I don't know if I can really count that specifically as value. But bags for sure. But then there may be some times where I never take a Delta flight all year. Or maybe I don't take another random other airline that I select. But then I just end up spending random stuff for $200. To me, that doesn't really count. But if I'm having a good year and I'm truly using the credit, then technically this card has a positive effective annual fee. I am making out $129 by just having this card. The other things that I haven't used to date but I think may come in handy if I ever need to are all the rental protections or even purchase protections that the card provides. Luckily, thankfully, I haven't had to invoke any of these, but it's a pretty good added perk if you need it. And now we get into all the things that are nice to have but I would probably never pay for it. So stuff like Walmart Plus, like I don't really need that, but it's really nice to have it. Get the free delivery, things like that. Clear, because my fiance doesn't have Clear, I never would really use it unless I was by myself, and I would honestly never pay for it, probably. The Saks Fifth Avenue $100 credit, which is actually two $50 credits every 6 months. But for me, I don't shop at Saks. I actually don't really shop at all. People say that you can buy it, you know, through Rakuten, you know, do the points, all that kind of stuff. But like, for me, I've only found it when I go to like a city like Chicago or like New York where they have a Saks, because again, you can't use it even at the Saks off Fifth Avenue. Like it has to be the Saks Fifth Avenue that you're buying it at. So again, it's a nice to have. I usually just let my fiance buy something that's $50 when we go to one of these places, but I only used it like once. Another perk is rental car status, which is super nice to have because it all automatically gets you into Hertz President Circle, Nationals, Executive Elite, which is the highest tier of status with rental cars. So a lot of times it gives you some discounts on cars. It lets you get, you know, first pick, or you get to get upgraded on your cars. So it's a nice perk to have, but I would never pay for that, or I would never rent cars that much to get to that status. And along those lines of rental car status, you also get Marriott and Hilton Gold status. And for me, I don't use this specifically because I have higher statuses because of other credit cards that I have, but in general, it's not something that you could really pay for. I mean, usually status is gotten through, you know, stays and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little nice added perk if you don't have status. It kind of gets you into that game of what that's like when you get treated a little bit better than just somebody that is a non-status person. So with gold, you might get an upgrade, you might get something that's a little bit better like water or internet. Nothing super, you know, to write home about, but it's not bad. It's pretty good. And then the last thing is events with Amex. And a lot of times for me, it's cool to see, but they're usually out of my price range. I'm not really a big event kind of guy. But if you are into that kind of stuff, it can get you in the door for some pretty cool experiences. So not for me, but maybe it'll be for you. And then the final thing, something that I don't use at all, is the Equinox $300 credit a year. And I don't even know how it's dispersed, but I don't have an Equinox near me, so it's not a perk for me. So that is how I personally use my Amex Platinum card to try to get as much value as possible for my lifestyle. Let me know if any of that resonated with you, gave you some clarity, or if you have any questions. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Again, for me, I try to use the Amex Platinum to get elevated experiences without paying for that elevated experience cost. And I think that this card, even with its $695 annual fee, does a really good job at that. It helps you get some cool perks at hotels and elevates your airport and travel game in that aspect. So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe and hit the notification bell below so you can join our growing family here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time, and I'll see you on the next video.